Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Moose Minute Project on a Friday morning, the end of the week here, and welcome to August. The weather today, this weekend, is going to be outstanding. They say 0% chance of rain through the 3 days. Have a great weekend. Have a lot of fun. We're going to do a kayak trip in the morning tomorrow, and then have family cookout, whatever it may be, tomorrow to get together. And if you're around the area, Rock Springs tonight, cute little town, just over by Loganville that way. My stepbrother's band is playing in Rock Springs at the car show tonight, starting at 6 o'clock. So if you are around the area, Deadlock is playing at 6 o'clock tonight. However, let's get to the Moose Minute Project. And why would you do that? That's right. WWYDT. I don't know why I've gotten into these, a little bit. I guess What Would Jesus Do started it with the WWJD. But why would you do that? My question is for people that just have nothing better to do, except for post things because they don't have to face the wrath of anything or face accountability when they post things on social media, especially when it is very serious, very life-changing events, such as when the sheriff's department puts a report out about either a car accident where somebody died or what may be involved, and then somebody posts, well, why are we even posting about this? It kind of has to be posted. It has to be talked. You know what I mean? I know you don't like the idea. Nobody likes the idea. And nobody probably of the family members that like the idea of the wanted people posted. But people just cannot help themselves but comment their digs and their, like when there's Hispanic people, and quite honestly, it doesn't even have to be Hispanic people. When it's on the wanted shared by Richland County, people always have to post some comments that absolutely make no sense. Why would you do that? Because they just have nothing better to do. Like when that gentleman passed away from OWI and got in an accident, it was like, well, he got what he did. No, he didn't get what he deserved. Nobody deserves to die that way. Yes, the choices he made did not help the scenario, but nobody deserves that kind of thing to happen. Yes, is it probably because we've all escaped it. We've all been thankful that either we didn't get caught doing it. I've talked to numerous people about the whole OWI, DWI. Like I've said before, that first one, yep, and maybe even a second one if it's not within the... But when we get to the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 10th, 11th, shit has to change. But I don't care. You still don't deserve to have your life ended by that decision. Kind of like the drug scenario. I strongly believe in the 3 strikes policy that, hey, we'll save you the first and second, but after that, 3rd strike, you're done. And I know that sounds heartless, and I know it's not probably the way to be, but at some point, we have to focus. This isn't about shutting down a border to control the drug epidemic or anything else. We have to seriously look at the mental health issue. And nobody wants to do it because, quite honestly, I feel a lot of people in Washington have mental health problems. Listen to them. Listen to how they talk. They can't relate to middle class, even though that's where they came from or whatever it may be. A lot of them can't relate to it. They can't relate to the middle class. I think they forget after they've been in, 15, 20, whatever years of service. I think they forget. And some of them are getting the age where, quite honestly, we should be doing cognitive testing on everybody that's there. And trust me, you can't ace a cognitive test. I've taken plenty of them with my stroke. I'm very well educated. And you do not ace cognitive testing. Okay? It's not like the SAT or an ACT where there's a definite, it's just not there. So my question is I strongly feel that testing needs to be done. And if you're a service member of ours that we pay for in Washington or in the state level, that those testings should be public. You work for the public, it should be public. And if you don't like that, it's kind of like your whole, I don't need your weight or your height when you go to the doctor. But if you have major issues, such as, oh, you got diagnosed with, we've just saw it this last year. There was a lady with Alzheimer's in a nursing home. No wonder she missed up teen votes in Washington, because nobody even wanted to admit she was gone. She was out of, but because it's a seat for the party, they didn't report it, is how I look at it. So why would you do that? Well, no different than why we are redistricting different states, why we are redistricting things to limit people's ability to vote. Pretty soon there is going to be a time that voting is, and it's still to this day getting harder and harder, and people don't want to vote. Look at the nationwide turnout. It's funny when everybody says, oh, this president or that president had, 48% of the vote. No, they didn't. If you look at all the people that can vote, our president, I think this year had 23% of the vote. The opponent had 22 point whatever. See, that's where we get caught up in all of this drama, all of these things. So why would you do that? Comes to many things, and that's what I wanted to label it on today, is why would you do certain things? Why do you go above and beyond for some things, but then you don't for others? Are you willing to go above and beyond for just somebody you don't know? Or is it only for people that you desperately, or that you know closely? Would you help a stranger on the street? We've all seen the clips where, people come up to somebody and say, hey, would you borrow me $1? And somebody reaches in their pocket and pulls out $1 without asking, or 10. And and some of them are set up. We know they are. They role play, whatever it may be. They set it up just for views. But in real life, if somebody came up to you that you had no clue who it was and said, you know what, or if they're in front at Quick Trip and they've got a pile of or a few groceries in front of them. Let's say not a pile, because it doesn't take much to get to $10 now at Quick Trip. Let's face it that way. But let's say the bill's $10 and they're behind you and their card gets declined, or they just don't have. Are you willing to step up to pay that for someone? Or do you look at them and go, not gonna do it. Nah, not worth it. What if that changes somebody's life? What if that act of kindness before, would it make a difference if you knew that was going to change their life? Or is it because it's changing your life? Which way do you want to look at it to make the difference? For me, helping somebody like that, of flipping a $10 bill or saying, hey, or are you in McDonald's getting meals and stuff like that? Are you in McDonald's line and you say, here's $10, whatever, put it towards the car behind me? Or is it just that you say, not today? Is it, if there's a cop behind you and you see him in the drive-thru, or you see him, are you willing to pay What's his bill? Oh, it's $9 or 10. Yeah, I'll pay for that. I want to pay it forward. Are you willing to do that? I've always thought it'd be interesting if you could find out if you go to like Culver's or McDonald's, wherever it may be, and you hand a $20 to the drive-thru, take care of who's behind me. Find out if that'll do it. But then see how long that 20 would get passed back. It's just something always that triggers in my head. Because I've been on that end of, God, I hope this check's clear. Yep. Or, oh boy, you miscalculated when you had your basket in the grocery store or whatever, and you're $2 short, and then you feel like a complete idiot. And you don't explode, you don't do anything. It always amazes me the amount of people that when their cards get declined, blow off the handle. I mean, they blow up at the cashier. Okay? She's already pleasantly happy to be at work, and she's trying her best to smile at you and anybody else. And yet, when you swipe your card, it's like she said no. Like she's the one that made the choice. So you're pissed off at her. And you square and you do all that. Well, if you did that to me as a cashier, my happiness to help you work through your scenario went from 100 to negative 100. Why are we so quick? Because you probably know already that it was a 60-40 chance, maybe 70-30. It might be even that you just damn well knew. Shit, not gonna work. Just thought I would try it. See, I would probably help you out if I knew if you were treating the person with respect in front of me. But because you chose to rip into somebody and blame them for your card getting declined, which she can't help, or he, whoever's working the cash register. It always amazes me that people are that way. And I grew up in a family that my mom was a single mom. I worked very at a young age, and yeah, I covered a lot of things. I covered a lot of bills. I did all that stuff. But that is my one thing, that yelling at people or pissed off at people doesn't work. And if you start with me that way, I immediately shut down. We're done talking. We're done working out things. We are done working through things. Kind of like if you get pissed off at me at any kind of other things and you say, I'm never coming back. Oh no, not that. And maybe that's part of the reason that's part of the reason why I was good at sales, was I did everything I could for you. I tried everything. But then you'd stand there and yell at me and say, you know what, screw you, I'm not ever coming back here again. Oh, good God. Really? Well, not unless you work with... Yeah. No, sorry. I've got 20 other people standing behind you. You don't have to give in to the threats. You do not have to... I don't care how much money people spend for you. For people to treat your employees or your friends like that, not gonna work. Not gonna work. If you want me to respect you, you gotta respect me. And I will do everything I can to be forward and honest and do all that. And I hope everybody lives their lives that way. I hope people would understand that, people right now say this younger generation is disrespectful and they don't want to work. Well, you know what? If you look at what the parents are making them do, there's probably a reason for that. If they're allowed to sit in the basement on their Xbox eating the family snacks, drinking the family pops, doing whatever, they probably don't want to work. We didn't have that choice. At least I didn't have that choice. And I'm pretty sure a lot of the people I grew up with didn't have that choice. We were working many hours, plus going to school, plus doing sports, whatever it may be. My wife didn't get the chance to do sports, period, because she was raising her sister, helping her mom, who was working third shift. She didn't get to play high school sports or do any of that stuff because her sister had health issues and things like that at a young age and going through high school. And talk about stories of people that were downright mean to somebody that had disabilities. And it used to drive me nuts to watch people pick on the kids that had the disabilities. You know what? They don't choose to have them. They don't choose, but they're doing the best they can to make life good. Scotty in Aiken got tormented by so many people. Ross Panko's brother Todd got tormented by people. And I'm wondering if those people in high school look back and go, boy, was I a jackass to him. And ever said or replied to them and said, you know what? I'm really sorry. Please forgive me for being a jackass. Because it's the truth. You know, I always thought about that with kids in high school. When you're the bully and you thought you were the top of the class and you could beat up people or you could do whatever you wanted, did you ever go back and say, you know what? It wasn't you. It was me. I was a dumbass. And sorry. Please forgive me for being a dumbass. Because you were old enough to know better. Your parents would have probably beat your butt if they'd have known. I know my mom would have. My mom watched it. I was oversized, heavy kid. I was 6 foot when I graduated, or 6'1", and I was chunky. I grew 4 inches from June to September after I graduated. So I went from 6'1" to 6'5". It was a little late for my growth spurt, but I was also the youngest ones in my class. But do you go back and really look at what kind of person you were back then? I just wanted to fit in, so I did some stupid shit because I wanted to fit in with that crowd. And the more I look back at it, it wouldn't have mattered if I fit in with that crowd or not. So why would you do that? Are you raising your kids to be the same way? Or are they being raised to be hardworking, respectful, to the elders, open doors, hold doors, whatever it may be? Say thank you to vets that have hats on. Just curious. So that's where we're at today. So if you're stopping to think about why would you do that or why would I do that, take time to really look into that and say, hey, if my mom was alive or if my dad was around right now, what would he say? Would he crack me on the head? Would she kick my butt? I live with that every day now that mom's passed. I think about things that I do or try to do or whatever it may be, and it's a little harder now that I know she's in heaven because I know she's looking over everything I do. And I live at a different, even more difficult standard because she's probably got the power of God right now saying, just zap him a little bit with lightning, not the whole volt, but just enough to make it tingle. Or, may a hailstorm hit him on the head and knock some sense into him. I'm guessing she might probably be saying that. But yeah, so I got to look at those scenarios too and laugh that she's probably up there. Oh boy, he's got his hands full with her. I got to laugh about that sometimes too. So that's where I'm at today. So really think about why would you do that or why would I do that? And try to help encourage that next generation that's coming up. So that's where the Moose Minute Project is today. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the weather. If you can get out, do it. whether you love to fish, whether you love to golf. Like I said, the kayaks are already loaded. We're going down the river tomorrow, just for a good float, and we'll see what happens. But thank you for tuning into the Moose Minute Project. And I'm also on YouTube with the Moose Minute Project. Take your time to look there, and you can subscribe. I've got 260 videos there. So have a great day, everyone. And as always, take time to bless somebody today, and I'll talk to you Monday morning.